Communism is often misunderstood. Many people have different interpretations of what it means and how it should be implemented. At its core, communism is an ideology that aims for a classless society where everyone is equal. It envisions a world where the means of production are owned collectively. In a communist system, everyone shares resources. This means that all goods and services are distributed based on need, rather than wealth or social status. This means everyone works together for the common good. The idea is to eliminate the disparities between the rich and the poor, creating a more equitable society. There would be no private property. Instead, everything would be owned communally, ensuring that everyone has access to what they need. The idea is that everyone contributes according to their ability, and everyone benefits equally. This creates a sense of unity and shared purpose. Communism is different from socialism. While both aim for economic equality, their methods and ultimate goals differ significantly. Socialism often uses democratic means to achieve some economic equality. It allows for some private ownership and operates within a capitalist framework. Communism, in its purest form, seeks a stateless society. It envisions a world without governments, where people govern themselves collectively. It aims to dismantle traditional power structures. This includes the elimination of the state, class hierarchies, and any form of oppression. This is a key difference to remember. While socialism works within existing political systems to bring about change, communism seeks to completely transform society. At the heart of communism are a few key ideas. First, it critiques capitalism. Capitalism, it argues, creates inequality. It leads to a few having most of the wealth. Communism wants to eliminate this gap between rich and poor. Another principle is worker ownership. Instead of bosses and workers, everyone is a co-owner. This collective ownership, ideally, leads to fairer treatment. It also aims to give workers more control. Long before Karl Marx wrote about communism, people lived communally. Indigenous cultures around the world practiced resource sharing. These societies often saw land and resources as belonging to everyone. These examples show that communal living is not a new concept. Religious groups also experimented with communal living. Early Christians sometimes pooled their resources. They believed in helping the poor and sharing their wealth. These historical examples show that the desire for economic equality is not new. In the 20th century, communism became a major political force, shaping the destinies of many nations and influencing global politics in profound ways. The Russian Revolution in 1917 was a pivotal event that led to the creation of the Soviet Union, a state that would become a superpower and a symbol of communist ideology. This was the first attempt to build a communist state on a large scale, aiming to create a classless society where the means of production were owned collectively. Following the Soviet example, other countries like China, Cuba, and Vietnam also adopted communist governments, each with their own unique interpretations and implementations of Marxist principles. These revolutions were driven by a desire for change, fueled by the hope of overthrowing oppressive regimes and establishing a more just and equitable society. Many people were suffering under oppressive systems, facing extreme poverty, exploitation, and lack of basic rights, which made the promises of communism appealing. They were drawn to the promise of equality and justice, inspired by the vision of a society where everyone would have equal opportunities and resources. However, the reality of these communist states often fell short of the ideals. While some progress was made, many of these countries faced significant challenges, including political repression, economic difficulties, and human rights abuses, which led to disillusionment among the people. Section 5. Potential benefits of communist ideals. Despite its failures, communism offers some appealing ideas. Imagine a world without poverty or homelessness. Everyone would have access to healthcare and education. These are some of the potential benefits of a truly equitable society. Furthermore, a society free from the pressures of capitalist competition could be more peaceful. People could focus on cooperation and community building. These are ideals worth striving for, even if they are difficult to achieve. Section 6. Addressing common criticisms of communism. Critics of communism often point to its failures. They argue that it stifles innovation and individual freedom. They point to the human rights abuses committed by some communist regimes. These are valid concerns that must be addressed. It is important to remember that no system is perfect. Capitalism also has its flaws. It often leads to inequality, exploitation, and environmental destruction. We must be critical of all systems and strive for better solutions. Section 7. The challenge of implementation. One of the biggest challenges facing communism is implementation. Human nature is complex. Greed, power dynamics, and corruption can derail even the best intentions. Creating a truly classless and stateless society is incredibly difficult. Furthermore, the transition to communism can be violent and disruptive. The dismantling of existing power structures can lead to chaos and instability. This has been the case in many attempted communist revolutions. Section 8. Finding a balance: communism's place in the world. So, can communism work? It's a complex question that has been debated for over a century. The idea of a classless, stateless society where everyone shares resources equally is appealing to many, but the practical implementation has often fallen short. In its purest form, a communist utopia seems unlikely. History has shown us that attempts to create such a society have often led to authoritarian regimes and economic hardships. Yet, the vision of a fair and just society continues to inspire. However, many of its core principles are worth considering. Ideas like economic justice, social equality, and the empowerment of workers resonate deeply in today's world. These principles challenge us to think about how we can create a society that values every individual, and worker empowerment are relevant today. In a world where economic disparity is growing, these ideas push us to find solutions that ensure everyone has a fair chance at success. Perhaps the answer is not to strive for a perfect communist state. Instead, we can take the best aspects of communist ideology and integrate them into our current systems. This means advocating for policies that promote social welfare, fair wages, and equal opportunities for all. Instead, we can learn from its ideals and apply them to our existing systems. By doing so, we can address some of the most pressing issues of our time, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to essential services. We can work towards a more just and equitable world, even if it's not perfectly communist. By embracing the values of community, cooperation, and shared responsibility, we can build a society that works for everyone, not just a privileged few. This balanced approach allows us to take meaningful steps towards a better future. Section 9. Conclusion. Considering communism's legacy. Communism's legacy is complex and often controversial. It has been associated with both hope and tragedy. While its utopian vision may never be fully realized, its ideas continue to inspire movements for social justice and equality around the world. As we grapple with the challenges of the 21st century, it's essential to engage with a variety of ideologies, including communism, to find solutions that benefit all of humanity.